Hey everyone, they're going to see an 8-figure brand audit here, and that specifically is just for Facebook. And they were doing a lot of things wrong, and believe it or not, even they are 8 figures, they're spending around 30K a day. So that's many, that's probably around more than a million, and that's just one account. They had another account as well, but I'm going to be focusing on one specific account that I audited, and then the other ones were very, very similar structure anyway. So hopefully you can get a lot of insights for your own business. Again, I have signed an NDA just for context for this business, so I can't share any specific data or any specific campaigns, but the structure is the same, and I'm basically gonna go with the exact same order that I send them basically, or at least the deck. So you can have an idea. You can see some of the stuff that's some of the things that are very common mistakes I've seen time and time again when I'm actually auditing campaigns and many businesses. So yeah, just to kick it off again, that was an 8-figure brand in the I'll say fashion and accessories, but most like accessories. There was some like phone cases and whatnot, and any other kind of customized business customized products as well, but more so on the accessories and kind of apparel accessories niche. And yeah, just that into obviously have here an overview of the campaigns. This will be actually blurred here, so I apologize for that. But as you can see, they're getting like very decent volume spent and a very decent kind of purchase volume again as well. And the main thing that I actually take a look at from like just jumping into the account, obviously how like complex things looked in a sense. And obviously, just bear in mind again, that had multiple categories. Obviously, just one was like the hero category or the hero products. That had multiple categories that we can obviously scale through, and that obviously didn't help with like the overall consolidation piece of the account and that being very kind of consolidated. But in any case, they had a lot of different scaling campaigns and a lot of different campaigns for the same reason, for example. And also the other big piece here is that they were testing multiple attribution settings like 1 day click, 7 day click as well. But it didn't seem that there was a specific like winner or like specific test. So there was a lot of structural mistakes, believe it or not. Like there wasn't like any certain creative testing campaign for like testing. There wasn't any specific for scaling or any structure behind their creative tests, as well as the overall creative volume was very, very low. Now, I have here pointed here some creative testing campaigns that was around, like one, for example, is like an evergreen, and the other one's like, the other one is called like December, and the other is called by a specific name of the brand. And you can see, like, obviously, you can see the difference, first of all, in the CPA, that's just being insanely different, as well as the overall budget. Some like CBO, some not really CBO, and like it doesn't like there seems to be going so much stuff on the account without really purpose like hypothesizing and everything. So I dived a bit deeper first on creative testing just to basically start from somewhere. It was a lot of learning limited, and obviously I'm a big proponent of like ABO testing. CBO is fine as well. I won't really I don't really care. I care more about being actually makes statistical significant have statistically significant data so I can make the first decisions based on my learnings, and that's probably ABO why it's a bit better and it's a bit faster. Doesn't mean CBO doesn't work, but for the sake of it, as you can see here, they have like $25 um, per ad set, and most of them just didn't get enough kind of spent and enough volume, and they were all like stuck in learning limited, and there wasn't any optimization as well. So you can see how much money basically they are quote unquote um are losing just by not kind of optimizing effectively and not having enough budget on each creative test to make the learning and just have a proper kind of creative testing workflow where you kind of test the creative every like week or bi-weekly at least, because obviously I do get that they might have like a lot of creative and they can't just put like too much money on each article, then it's like too much money on the creative testing piece. But for the size of this brand, obviously creative will be key to kind of scale, and I would at least take a look at have like $150 at least per ad set, and I would put like more than 3 ads on each ad set. So as you can see here, there's a clear kind of bottleneck of like testing creative, because most of the like don't actually learning, and we don't have like clear learnings. And yeah, there's also wasn't any kind of optimization on an ad level. So make sure you kind of optimize as well. Make sure you're being efficient. You're not overspending your budget on your creative tests, because then it will just kind of doesn't won't really help like all the overall efficiency of the account, but more so from like a budget perspective. So from a creative testing, here what I found basically no clear testing approach. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on without clear hypothesizing. We need to have a separate creative testing campaign, or at least a campaign that's specifically just for testing. This will allow us to find winners and losers, then scale, have a big structure, especially for the creative, especially on Meta, how important the creative piece is. We need to have a very process, we need to have a very kind of structured process on how we approach our creative testing. Now, lack of communication framework, the majority of the spend is going through a few ads, and we need to ensure we talk to the different audience differently. Now, that's a point that I'm also tapping into scaling as well. But there was basically all the spend was going only through a few ads, given how they were testing mostly through a CBO setup. And there wasn't any kind of optimization, so there wasn't any spend on the ads. And most of the ads were pretty much the same, just very, very slight nuances. And for the kind of business size of theirs, they need much more bigger swings, much more diversity in the creative. They were very heavy static focused as well, not a lot of UGC. So there was a lot of stuff to be done here. So from a creative perspective, obviously we need to kind of talk to different audience differently and approach having a creative mix as well as different angles as well when we test this. There was a lot of repetitive stuff there and a lot of the spend going on the same 2 or 3 ads there. So consistent creative output and rotation. That was a good thing actually. They had like decent creative testing workflow, so we're basically getting ads live every week, and there was iteration of winning ads and showing, and there was also iteration of winning ads, and so we were learning from like proven concepts, and there was that at least that thought there. Now, what I would recommend again, create a streamlined testing environment for every winning ads. Obviously, there was for this specific business there was a lot around seasonality and obviously some specific launches and kind of campaigns. But using a single campaign to test and implement high performance creative on an everything level, so testing angles that despite any kind of new launch or any kind of seasonal push that we know these angles work and we drive the business all year round or actually translate into some of the seasonal stuff is super important there. So implementing with variable creative testing, I really like to make hypotheses by isolating each creative variable and doubling down on what's working. And that basically means isolating one variable that might be the hook, might be the style of the ad, so it might be video or static, or it can be just again the different style of the ad itself, like a demonstration video versus an unboxing video. Again, set up a testing framework, so you have data, feedback loop, focus on key questions like identifying the best performing persona, angle, or style of asset. Again, like I said, there are a couple collections. So that I just pinpointed here that just seem fragmented. If you, for example, have like specific categories, for example, let's say that you have a business that sells, let's say phone case, but it also sells like chargers, for example, or something like very, very different. I'll probably have like a separate creative testing campaign if those SKUs are responsible for a significant amount of revenue for my business, because I'm obviously going to be approaching different stuff differently. Now, the key thing here is identifying different personas, angles, and styles of assets. Again, the main bottleneck here, and we're obviously going to unveil the whole thing after going into scaling as well, is that they didn't have enough creative diversity, and that not just means from a style perspective, so not just like static and videos, but also different personas that actually will actually choose a product. They were really focused on the same specific ad that was speaking to the same people and just slightly changing the visuals and maybe just slightly changing the angle. They needed a bit more horizontal scale in the business, again, given the spend levels. But even from like a small business perspective or small spend perspective, you still need to kind of find those 2 or 3 core demos that your ad will be speaking to. So scaling, I've identifying here a few scaling campaigns, and again, the main thing I've saw quite a bit of learning limited, and then with scaling with the CBO, which is fine again, but I wouldn't have like 12 different answers. I'll probably have, let's say, if we have a CBO, maybe the top two of audiences, or maybe top two, three angles, and we have into a CBO setup. But again, the CBO is not something I really like. Maybe just a personal bias, just because I like to have control over spend. I can make much quicker learnings and much quicker transition when I'm have an ABO setup. But again, CBO scaling is fine. I'm not opposed to that by all means, but not having 12 different ad sets because a lot of people actually hit learning limited. 3 or 4 probably we look to have different angles, so sorted by concepts. For example, concept one might be like, I don't know, cost saving, and number two will be like sustainability, something like that. So we still categorizing our campaign. I'll do a summary point here. Now, that specific business had a very huge USP. Obviously, they were in Europe and they were internationally expanding in different countries across Europe and across the globe, basically. And they were having obviously a stacked. And based on the breakdown here, I could see that most of the spend was in Germany, Australia, US, UK, Canada, as well as a couple like strong EU countries. And and that really applies to you guys. The first that I would do is when you test a new market, obviously I'll just stack everything like they're doing here. But after a point, like I'm seeing that I have decent spend, I'll try as fast as possible and try to break some of the top performing countries that make sense from a business perspective, and try to attack them a bit differently because obviously they're just different markets, they behave a bit differently, and I will approach creative and our strategy a bit differently. And obviously, again, depending on kind of the resource that is available from the business, I just made a question here if there are any plans to localize the creative and the landing page on any of these countries, because obviously that will make the most sense to focus on. But again, a big kind of takeaway here from an international expansion perspective, when you try to do that, start with like stacked countries and then just try to break out maybe the top one or two probably. Okay, so then I'm going to go into a summary from the scaling. Again, what I found, the core scaling environments for carrying majority of the budget and running with winning ads. That is really a positive here, because you'll be surprised how many times in the scene accounts like being all over the place don't have majority of the spend behind winning ads. So that's good that I see here. The main bottleneck again that we mentioned is like a few ads getting majority of the spend. There needs to be some optimization or at least segmentation of some of the other ads, because they were testing a lot of stuff. They had decent amount of creatives that were working, so there needs to be some kind of optimization or at least segmentation of the ads to kind of test and reach new audiences. Again, consistent cadence of winning ads tested and transferred into scaling campaign, which is also positive. It really refreshes creative and efficiency. 29% of the budget spent in landing phase, which pretty positive, honestly. I recommend here just slight drop it to 20%, but even 29 is very positive. Again, try to really, it should be low 30%. Now, click-based optimization test alive, 1 day click, 7 day click. Again, lack a bit of context there in terms of the overall consumer consideration of the product. I'll just state probably 7 day click to try to get as much data as possible. But it's great, it's very positive to again, and something maybe take away for your specific business. Make sure you just test and run ads on a click-based attribution setting, just because that's much more incremental. I'm gonna have a few other points here around name convention, super important, especially as you scale to optimize your creative and make better decisions to having very kind of name convention. Again, what I would recommend, probably some consolidation around the scaling campaigns and scaling horizontally, maybe set up and promoting new ads from testing to scaling around an angle, like I proposed earlier. Like one angle can be price led, one getting compliments, one durability, for example. Consider testing AC Plus in the top regions with the winning ads. Again, it just seems to be hitting things differently, and also the element that we talked about around international expansion. Again, AC would actually do very well. Again, I have another point here that I'm ensuring separate campaigns for each category. If you have like a multi-product business, make sure you have separate campaigns for each product. If that obviously they are like responsible for like majority of the revenue of the business, so don't put any kind of category advertised out there. I would highly recommend sticking with our top 2 or 3. And again, lots of retargeting activity. They had huge brand, and obviously the top of funnel would do a lot of the retargeting itself, but having the retargeting perspective and specifically for middle funnel and bottom funnel, speaking to those audiences, in my opinion, has worked very, very well. Again, a big piece here is implementing some cost control, especially just the amount of money that I can actually pour into the ad accounts. I think it's super important that we're being efficient as well and not struggle of the budget. So some cost cap and kind of minimum ROAS bidding will do very, very well here. Now, creative, I can't really show you the exact creatives, but the main thing from a creative perspective and some really, really important stuff to take away here. And the main bottleneck I spot is like around thumbstop ratio and a bit around click rate as well, but click rate is pretty decent. Hold rate needs some improvement, honestly. But the main bottleneck is like thumbstop is below like 30%, which I think the benchmark, and really below 20. So huge potential by leveraging a more engaging hook to kind of basically make more money with the same ad spend. And the other thing that was very, very important, and I highly recommend just taking a look at your specific account, go into the placement distribution of your ads and see where Meta distributes all your spend. And you can see here is mostly around Instagram feed and a bit about around stories. So what that basically tells us is that they didn't have a lot of UGC, so most of the spend was distributed towards feed. Obviously, we had on stories, but like reels, like as a placement, is only like not even 10% of the budget here on some of the core campaigns. So that's a very quick win. Obviously, you can spot that from like a top level perspective that they're not using UGC, but that's a good data point to back it up if Meta delivers your ad in just feeds, for example. So what I found from a creative summary is the more the scale, and obviously it's important on the like lowest spend as well if you're watching this, but the more you scale spend, the more important is that we have a good creative mix, that we talk to different people in a different way, in a different format. My feed will be way different than your feed that you're actually watching at the moment. So it might be all statics, might be all videos. It kind of depends on the content that I'm interacting on a daily basis, as well as a few other factors. Again, we have lots and lots of winning concepts and formats, with spending a lot of data. So make sure we actually try to iterate on those. That's more like a point that I was a very positive point that we have really focused on that. Static seems to be driving performance at scale in the most efficient CAC, which again, another point here, probably just double down on. Thumbs ratio, hold rate, the biggest bottlenecks across accounts, and UGC was underutilized. And again, made a few suggestions based on the creative that they do have. Again, link persona and demographic testing. The more you focus on these 2-3 levels here, in general, even if you have like a small account, the better. Like once you find your persona targeting, demographic targeting, everything is gonna be huge, like a log. So what I would recommend basically is on the levels to pull will be creative diversity and persona testing. Again, the more you spend, the more important this becomes. But if you can play around with different styles from the beginning, the best, honestly, because you have more chances to kind of find the winners. And some quick tips to improve thumb stop or hook rate and hold rates. Test more engaging hooks, trim some of the videos, adding overlay text, interchange between lifestyle shots and fast transitions, again to improve those bottlenecks. And again, look, be a bit more creative with the creative strategy. Again, that was a very established business that we're just focusing on the same stuff pretty much, and bring some marriage to the creative through each scene videos, like what it kind of drives here, why why is it different, maybe a bit of a storyline of how, for example, they choose the product over like other products, or maybe some issues that the creator had themselves and they found a solution on that specific brand. So from a top level opportunities, again, consolidate to test, international expansion, testing approach, and develop the creative. Again, maybe not international expansion for your specific business, but the other 3 is something that you can improve honestly today. So I appreciate watching all the way through. I hope that was very helpful for your business. I hope you take some good notes. And yeah, I appreciate that was a bit longer, but yeah, thanks for sticking along. I hope you have a great day.